as I say, basically it's that long time coming conversation about manifestation. And it's just we're just going to try and capture what we know about it, you know, what we know about it, what we think about it, if we practice it, how we practice it, and between us, how we can generate higher capacity of this sacred secret power that we're all supposed to have. But, you know, we're always bouncing between the polarities of, you know, good days, bad days, ups and downs. What's the science behind it, according to the wide spectrum of different ideas and schools of thought? So this is an open conversation. Everybody's welcome. Contribute, listen, ask, input. Yeah.
Okay, so my name's Romani, and what can I say? I write and make film. I'm also on my own spiritual journey, as I'm sure everyone else is here. So yeah, I was really interested to know about manifesting, especially as it is a super moon, and it is an interesting time. I keep hearing a lot of portals are open. There's a lot of energy to be, I guess, used. And so I'm really interested in how we can tap into that and maximize what is all around us at the moment. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Portals and energy. Amani just opened up the rabbit hole.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, start us there actually. So tell us about this and how we can tap him. I'm gonna so I don't come up now.
All right, cool. Maybe I should throw the disclaimer in right now. I'm no expert on any topic at all. Yeah, I think most know, but I ain't claiming to be no guru or teacher on the topic. I just want to open the space. I've done a bit of exploring since I've been here on the plane, you know. So and I feel like, you know, there's gems that I've been digging for that kind of resonate with others. And when I dig into the ancient sciences and the cosmic sciences, it all resonates. And I put a lot into practice and had a lot of success by my own standard. So, all right then. So, Romani just mentioned portals and energy, and that can be a bit far-fetched. I would say to that, when they say there's a lot of portals opening, what we're talking about basically is, as the cosmic arrangement is forever sinking and changing and moving, yeah, as we're orbiting planets and planets are orbiting solar systems and whatnot. Every time planets come into certain alignments, the energy currents change. Yeah, it's just like every time the sun, yeah, we'll use the most obvious kind of references we can to our reality. We know the sun is constantly moving all day, it doesn't stand still. Yeah, every single hour of the daytime that the sun is shining, it's emitting a different potency of rays, yeah, energy, light, yeah. So, as we know, it starts off in the morning. If you catch that sunrise, there's a certain energy being emitted onto the planet. That sets off certain aspects in our biorhythms, yeah, because our glands are directly in a circadian rhythm with the sun and with the moon, which means we are actually being like strings, we're being governed energetically by the sun and the moon and the other planets. But these are kind of our closest parents, the ones that are kind of raising us and dictating our energy, what goes on inside of our body. Now, as that sun is moving, that rate of energy is changing. So it changes, it constantly tuning and tweaking our glands and our biorhythms. Yeah. Now, I will say that we've become very out of sync with that sort of energy, with that connection, because we're just mindless to it. However, the glands of the body, the pineal and the hypothalamus and those glands, those have not forgotten their role in connection with the sun. It's just our minds have forgotten it. So the body is doing what the body is doing. Hence, when the sun goes down, we're going to get tired, yeah, at a certain point. Now, because we've got so much kind of artificial light around us 24/7 and artificial stimulants, that changes our internal rhythms and biorhythms. Yeah, so that's why we'll be up all night sometimes and whatnot. But if it was completely natural, like everything else in nature, we go down with the sun, we rise and get up with the sun. Now, that's an interesting place to touch on, because what happens when the sun goes down? The moon comes out. So we have a sun of the night also. We have an orb, or AKA a planet, that is emitting a light and an energy to the planet, which means to us as individuals, yeah, that is emitting its own level of frequency and energy, yeah. So the moon is governing the dark side or the underworld, yeah, and I think that will be significant a bit further down the line. On that reference, now if we imagine that the sun is also governing billions of other planets in the solar system, these other planets are all moving non-stop. Yeah, they're always coming into different alignments with other planets, and that's generating energy centers. Yeah, and when certain alignments happen, certain energies come flooding in, and they saturate the earth, they penetrate our atmosphere. Scientific fact. Now, because we are of the earth, we are of the solar system, i.e. we are of God, we get affected by all these energy shifts and changes. Yeah. So when we say a portal is opening, we're just talking about another energy center is becoming apparent, and a new wave of energy is coming into our atmosphere, into our aura, because that's our own personal atmosphere. Yeah, that can be penetrated and that we are emitting from. Yeah, so, but anything outside of us is occurring inside of us, just like the whole universe, as we can see, is actually an illusion. It's actually going on inside of the body. Yeah, it's going on inside of your reality. In fact, the body, they say that the body is made in the image of God. So, you know, an immature mind or an ignorant mind, like we've all been born into, will automatically think that, oh, that means God must look like a human or something like that. You know, we have that kind of train of thought. But if we're made in the image of God, what we've got to open our eyes to is that God is the vast cosmos. Yeah, he's this kind of grand architect that is everything you can perceive. So if we're made in that image, that means that we are everything. We can't necessarily see it that way, because it's like there's some things even on the human body we can't see because we haven't got the lens. But if we was to get a microscope and zoom in on a little tiny fractal of our skin, we would see what kind of looks like mountain ranges. You know, it's like if you look at an atom, you have the centerpiece, yeah, the nucleus of the atom, and then you will have protons and electrons orbiting around the center of the atom. If you zoom right out of the cosmos, you're going to have the sun, the nucleus, and you're going to have the planets orbiting the sun. So it's direct mimic of the atom. Yeah, and that's what it means by we're made in the image of God. We've got so many dimensions and portals going on. So, as above, so below, as within, so without. So when these energy portals are opening, these planets are coming into different alignments. These energy centers and organs and glands and cells that are being governed by the energies of the planets, because that's how it works. They are also realigning, they are also emitting different energies within us. Yeah. So now if we understand what's happening outside, we can be aware of what's happening inside. This goes to the old science of the ancients reading the stars, the wise men reading the stars, to be able to predict what's going to happen and where we're at. It was just the stars was the number one go-to reference book, yeah, to understand where we're at and what's going on and what's coming, because you can read it all in the stars. if you make the correspondences. You see what I'm saying? So the question is, how do we utilize what is going on these different energy centers? Because it will take us lifetimes to really break it down and study it. We don't have to know all of what it really is. All we really want to know is, how do we capitalize on our gifts, on these powers that we have within us? And if we can start to utilize the faculties that we have within us, the information and knowledge, we will be able to process a lot quicker. Because if we're trying to process it now with our little university educated minds, that's like going back to an old Amstrad computer, yeah, and trying to bloody process something that's working at a 5G speed. It's gonna crash and it's gonna burn. Do you see what I'm saying? What we want to do is just trust in the process first. And as soon as we trust in this process that we are kind of energetic divine beings, all the processing speed will start to catch up. And then we will just be able to work things out a lot quicker than reading the book and trying to break it down to ourselves. We don't really need to do that like that. Yeah, it's going to take us a long time.
Got a question, Ryan. Thank you for sharing. I've got Ray. She's got her hand up.
Thanks, Omani. I hope you guys can hear me. Wholeness to everyone. My name's Ray or Rebecca, just to introduce myself. It's actually not a question. I actually wanted to add a little bit to what you were saying there, Ryan. You mentioned a few things about the portal and the astrology of it, so I just wanted to tap into that a little bit further. So the portal, the energy that's coming through right now is the sun is in Gemini, the moon is in Sagittarius, and Mars is in Pisces at the moment. So that's like creating a really powerful pyramid right now that is trapping and sending through a lot of energy. The sun and Gemini is representing the mind and the power of the mind. The moon is in Sag, is looking at growth and expansion and travel and foreign energies. And Mars in Pisces is think about dreams, right? Think about manifesting, creating from the mind. So putting that pyramid together, literally like kind of put all those three keywords in order. We're looking at using the mind to create growth, right? To manifest literally from our dreams, from our thought form. So that's really important right now, especially that it's aligning with a lunar eclipse and that the summer solstice is just in a few weeks. Wow. It's such a powerful time. So Mars in Pisces is really important right now as well in this pyramid, because Mars is the masculine energy, right, of creating. It's creating, and Pisces is dreams. We're looking at Neptune energy, so having the power to create and manifest very quickly, because the mind is in the perfect state to do so, right? Especially with the energy and the emotions of the moon. Really believing it and really knowing that you can do it is so key here. When you think about summer solstice, I think it's the 20th of June or the 21st this year. And again, summer solstice in the cosmic clock is talking about the most light, right? That's what summer solstice represents. Just historically and energetically, we're looking at, this is when the earth has the most light coming through. So again, pure energy, pure light, pure confidence, pure creative confidence. This period of the year is represented with the age of young 20s. So think about your young 20s, you have the most energy, you're going after what you want. That's this time. That's what the summer solstice is. So it's really like just taking in that energy and just capitalizing it, like Ramani was saying, really capitalizing it and believing, one, that you have the power to do it, because you do, but really knowing that, and two, just pushing that action. Like your fire should have been building up this year already. So now is the time that it should be at its like, it should be raging. You should be ready to create, and quickly, because the energy is there. You were mentioning the cosmic clock, exactly, beyond time. And we look at the clock and we think of time as a earthly thing, but it's cosmic. And yeah, the sky is saying it's time. So yeah, just really thinking about what you want, and from the mind first, seeing it in your mind, because that's where all things begin, of course, in thought form, and just building on it. You don't need to know the details, you don't need to fine tune it, You just need to explode and light that idea, and yeah, things will align as they always do for you. But yeah, just really creating that image clearly in your mind, because like I said, that triangle of the sun, moon and Mars right now is saying whatever you want is yours. You can have it, but just state it clearly and say it with your whole chest. And you can have it. So yeah, just focusing on the mind, making sure your mind is so focused, pushing dreams, not only in dream thought or on that dream plane, but dreams of imagination. Creating from the mind first. And yeah, the power, the growth of the moon in Sag, the sun in Gemini, which is the mind, is gonna bring it home to you when the sun goes into Cancer shortly after the summer solstice. So I just wanted to add that.
Yo, that was the lead. Yeah, thank you very much. That was a very thorough breakdown of where we're at right now, for example. And I wanted to ask that question myself, because I know there's people in here that are very, meticulous and diligent when it comes to the planets and the cycles and the movements and where we're at. So thanks for that breakdown. I think one of the standout points was the mind. And I think we may as well just go straight to the mind from here, because that's where it's going to begin and that's where it's always going to end. Yeah, when it comes to how to manifest and the capacity at which we can manifest, and also at the reasons why we might be struggling to manifest. But first, let's just put the question out there: what is manifestation?
Shall I try to answer that? I'll try to give you my best interpretation. Of course, everything is to be interpreted by your own mind, but generally speaking, Cancer represents the home. It represents the mother. It's talking about homely energies, things that are closest to you. It's the fourth house, which is of course different for every person, but it generally is speaking about feelings, emotions, the ideas closest to your heart, because again we're talking about that mother energy, the intentional energy. It sits opposite Capricorn, which is the masculine, which is the physical masculine creation energy. So yeah, we're just talking looking at water energy, which is changeable, which is it's, for me, Cancer represents the mother mostly, homely, creative, just those things that are closest to your heart. That's what Cancer generally represents. For the sun to be in Cancer, yeah, we're just shining light on those things. More power to those things. Taking time to reflect what's important to you. As I mentioned, summer solstice is representing the height of light. So of course, the day after begins the descent into darkness again. The darkness goes gradually until October, where we come back into the beginning of the annual cycle. So as soon as the sun is starting to descend back into Cancer from July, we're looking again, just going internally, energy, feelings, emotions, things closest to you. That's, for me, that's what Cancer represents. I hope that kind of answers your question.
Yeah, thank you for that, Ray. We have a comment from Melissa.
Greetings, everybody. Thanks for the invitation, Ryan. Interesting conversation. Exactly up my street and the kind of things I like to talk about. With regards to the definition of manifestation, I would suggest that it means the ability to create from here and bring it into a physical form. So it's as simple as that. And although the theories and the explanations sound somewhat complex, it's actually simple. It's profoundly simple. And you've been doing it, but you've just not been doing it consciously. We all do it. That's why you have stuff. That's why you have stuff in your fridge. That's why you have books on your shelf. You wrote a list. You went out there and you brought it back into your yard. You have a car. You have kids. I mean, if you're really tapped in, you'll understand that you even designed your children. I know with me, I've got two. I wanted a girl, I wanted a boy, I got it. And I think the key words here are focus and discipline. If you're focused on something, you will get it. I think what happens is we have an ego and we may want it tomorrow, but the universe presents it in a way where you'll get it when you deserve it. So, for instance, if I use a visual representation of what I'm trying to say, you've probably all seen the science experiment where you've got a magnifying glass and you can put an ant in in a disc, and you can use the sunlight and focus that light through the magnifying glass to get through at a certain angle, and because that light is focused, it will actually kill the ant. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. My point is, focus is the key, and we can all do that. I think we get distracted. I think we try to do too many things at one time. And I think the key is to discipline yourself and literally focus on one or two things, and that will speed up the manifestation process. If you're trying to buy a house and have a car and have a family and do all these things at the same time, everything is just going to get all messy, and it just won't manifest as quickly as you like, or the quality won't be as high as you would like it. So I'll go back to the fact of saying that it's profoundly simple. We all are already doing it. And with regards to the alignments of the planets and where the sun is, all that contributes to when things will manifest. So you actually can tap into those portals and literally in your meds focus your mind more during those times for when you want things to manifest. And I'm talking from experience. So theory without action is incomplete. We can all read books and we can all, know the science through paperwork and words, but the key is to action it.
Thank you, Melissa. Love that. So any responses to that? Because I'm thinking now, I want practical steps. Like, what do you do in your meditation? Like, I know there's different types of ways to approach this, but I'm really interested to hear.
I'm Ankara. Happy to be sharing the space with you guys today and talking about wonderful manifestation in the super full moon. And yeah, just to add, and what you said about practical steps, like what is it that we actually do to create this experience of manifestation consciously? Because like it's always been said, like we do it all the time, and a lot of the time it's just subconsciously bringing things, attracting things into our reality. So me personally, I've found that it's very powerful when I see something and just the sheer appreciation of having it, like just imagining, even if it's innocent. So it's not necessarily that I'm trying to get it for myself, but let's just say, for argument's sake, I've seen an apartment and I'm just looking at it like, oh my God, that is beautiful. And I'm just really amping up that vibration within myself because I appreciate it. I love what I see. I can imagine what it would be like living in there. And I'm literally like feeling that frequency because I'm a very feely person. And then later on down the line, it will be available and I'll be able to get it. And I'll just look back and think how did this even happen? Because it's not like I was purposely striving to manifest it, but just that sheer appreciation and that sheer almost love, that sheer love for it, and even the sheer love for the fact that something exists. So it's almost like with myself personally that I've not really gone for ownership of something. I've not want, like, say, a flower, appreciating a flower without trying to pick it out the ground and say, okay, I want this for me. Just looking at something and holding that frequency of gratitude and appreciation for its existence, for its being, because it triggers something in me that makes me go, wow, imagine that. Like, that's amazing. That's sick. And it makes me get excited just at seeing it. Just at seeing it, I'm not even in it, but just by me looking at it and knowing that that exists and it exists for me to conceive. Wow, that's something special. And then I've noticed later down the line, it's been in my hands. I've had it. I've been able to touch it and feel it. And I've wondered to myself, like, yo, like, how has this happened? So I've literally had to reflect and think, what did I do? And what did I do? And
Yeah.
that has been it. That appreciation, that gratitude, that excitement has allowed things to come to me. Also, a note of that, things that I have consciously wanted, I've kind of put it out there, thrown it in the universe, maybe wrote it down on a piece of paper with a pen. Okay, this is what I want, this is what excites me. Write it down, shut the book, forgot about the book, got on with my life, got on with it. And what's happened, it's come to pass. And with me, I really feel that because of the fact that I have almost like written it down, said I want it, been sure about it, made a decision and forgot about it, I've not got in the way of that manifestation consciously or subconsciously. Whereas, let's say, if I was consciously trying to manifest something and I'm there like every day, like working at it, or every day trying to attain it or get it, even if consciously in my conscious mind, I'm feeling all these good feelings, I'm going for it, I'm feeling happy, I'm feeling positive, subconsciously, there is always a lot going on within our bodies. And unconsciously, sometimes we don't know what we're actually giving off on a frequency level. So I could be like saying all these affirmations like, yes, I'm going to manifest this, I want it in my life, I can see it, but my energy and my body and my anxiety is in my stomach, twisting and turning, saying, oh, you know what, nah, I don't think you deserve this, or I'm not worthy, or things like that can just come in the way. So even though we can consciously trying to get something, because of our unconscious, it can kind of prohibit that. So I feel the way I've just forgot about it has literally been key in my path, my personal path of manifesting. Or sometimes I use the word like mixed words, and I say womb manifesting. And the reason why I say Woomafest, because a lot of the times it feels like I've just aligned to certain things and I've not purposely tried to go out there and execute a plan to attain anything. It's almost like a divine conception of the idea has just been in my womb space, and my vibration has just fed it the same way a woman feeds a fetus in her womb, unconsciously just fed this desire or anything that I wanted to manifest. So I do call it womb manifestation just because of the energy. I feel like it's more like I've attracted it. So I've been a magnet to what I've wanted. And I see that almost as feminine, as I've been ready. I've been in a space and a state to receive it. And in me just being in that vibrational state of receiving and of getting and even feeling bubbly, like, oh my God, I'm so excited. That's that perfect, it's that perfect, perfect state to just receive. So because it's happened that way a lot in my experience, it's made me think, well, a lot of the times I'm not like trying to actively go out and grab or go out and direct, like physically direct energy to something to attain it. It's just literally preparing the perfect space to hold that creation. So that's how I found that manifestation or manifestation has literally, shown itself unto me and revealed itself unto me and taught me through just life experience.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Ankara. I've got a hand up from Ray.
Thank you to the ladies who just contributed, both of you. That was really, really good. It was really helpful. I think I just really want to add here that it's so difficult. It's such a really difficult question because it's so different for everyone. How people manifest is really a personal gut feeling thing. The more you connect with yourself, I think you find you become more familiar with your path of how to create, because we are all creators in our own individual manner. Just as you have many different types of artists, you have different ways of creating and how they appear in the physical. As we mentioned earlier, everything begins in the mind. Everything begins in the mind, first in thought form, everything. And Ankara mentioned it earlier, this idea of belief. Like, I think belief is so key here. And yes, belief in having it, but belief in yourself as a creator, and of being deserving of having what you want. Because, you know, we know this Kemetic teaching of as above, so below, right? When we think of spirit, you know, we say spirit is all. But if we are spiritual beings, then are we not also the all? And can we not also create in that manner? And yeah, if the spirit is everything above, then when we think of the physical version of spirit, is that not also abundance? I can't imagine spirit meaning poverty in the physical. You know, spirit has to resonate with abundance and with resources and with luxury, with having what you want, right? Because spirit's everything. So everything begins in the thought form. And I mean, I was raised as a Rasta child, so I've always had a very kind of high confidence in myself of knowing whatever I want, it's mine already. I don't have to even think about it, you know, like if I want it, it's mine. You don't have to think, can I, maybe, no. If you want it, it's already in your mind, then it must be yours. So I think it's really, really key to just hone in on that belief in yourself to create. Because if you're doubting it, then it's going to make it all the more difficult. The universe can be like, well, do you want it? Or we're just going to keep it in your cart. What do you want? Right? So you have to really trust yourself and just know that it's yours and that you want that. I just really think it's really difficult to give one way of how to manifest. You can't really say, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's really personal. And I think someone mentioned about writing things down, putting it in a book. Again, like personal preference. But if things begin in the mind, then as soon as you write it or you speak it, you are bringing it into the physical, right? Like that's what the idea of the circle is. The circle is the first creation in physical. So that's kind of like what writing things down or speaking them out loud represents, is bringing it from the thought, from the mental plane into the physical plane. So yes, writing and speaking definitely works. Speaking as if it's yours, because you are physically creating it in that manner. As soon as you bring it from the mind, you've already done step 1 and 2. And what else did I want to add? Yeah, just my main thing to add here is just believing in yourself, knowing that you deserve it and it's yours. And if you want it, you got it. You know, there are things that you can manifest quickly, slowly. Again, like if you trust your path, then if you don't get it, it's probably not for you. There's probably something else better in store anyway, right? But yeah, I think my contribution here is to just trust yourself and believe that you are a master creator, as we all are.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. I think we've got Sayana next, and then Victoria after that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add my bit on manifestation. Yeah, because like I'm a Gemini, so my energy, I get bored easily. I have more than 2 or 3 ideas running at the same time. So what works for me is visualization. So let me show you 1 second. This is my mood board. So I have a mixture of past, present and future. So I mix things that I've already accomplished with things I want to achieve in the future, mix with things I'm working on in the present moment. So for me, this really works because, like I said, I can be a bit scatty a bit sometimes, so it helps me focus on whatever my energy aligns to that day. Another thing is affirmations, again, speaking things into existence, but not saying, oh, I want to achieve this. I will be like, okay, so I've already achieved this and I feel this about achieving this, if that kind of makes sense. So speaking it as if it's already happened and feeling it as if it's already happened. Also with the energy as well, aligning, sometimes I can be my own blockage. So I constantly am assessing how and why it is that's like blocking my success. So in words like shadow work, I do a lot of shadow work because I know I am my worst enemy, if that makes sense. Again, visualization, on my phone, my background, I have things that I want to achieve, so I can see it whenever I pick up my phone or whether it goes to screensaver mode. What else? I think I've kind of touched everything that I wanted to say. And also, yeah, being open for it to come anyway. Like, obviously, you can ask for, say, I want a car, and unless you're very specific in how you want to get this car, you may even get a car. You may get a car through your job or whatever. Unless you're specific on what you want and how you want to get it, then you have to be open to receive it in many ways, in any way. And yeah, that's it for me.
Thank you for that, Sienna. It's really interesting to see everyone's method and what works for you. And I think it's beautiful to know yourself and know what works best and go along with that. That's amazing. I've got Victoria that wants to comment next, and we'll go back to Ryan to add some more to this as well.
Hi everyone. So I just wanted to touch on I think it was Ankare who was speaking about the subconscious and conscious thoughts and manifestations. And I just thought it just reminded me of a time when I think I was going through just different dream states, but I was thinking of people for some reason, not consciously, but it was subconscious, or through dreams and things like that. And it just so happened that it pretty much happened maybe within the space of a month. The people I was dreaming about, they literally turned up in front of my face or I got text messages and things like that. So it just shows you that there are definitely different ways that we communicate with people, or how our mind communicates with people, whether it's to send out messages or to indicate something. So it's just like, we are really powerful in that sense. Even your emotions can drive you. And also in terms of manifestation, I can think about the time I did my driving, because I remember I must have had a bad experience just on public transport, and I was like, I am not doing this ever again. So just because of those emotions and my thought processing, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna start driving, I'm gonna get a car, like, and that was it. That was my focus for like the next 2-3 months. And I think I just charged up my energy and I really just focused on getting that. So I believe whatever your intentions are, you have to make them clear. Although sometimes we can get a little distracted, and that can sometimes cause the energy to not really go as far as it should. So it's just making sure that you create that space for yourself and really just focus and give it time. It's like, yeah, when I think for me, how I look at it sometimes, it's when a woman is pregnant, it takes time for a baby to develop. I'm not a mother or anything, by the way, but just in respect to the nature of how that process works, you have to be patient with it. And I think sometimes we are in a space where we want things now, like we want it now, but you just have to know that as a creator, you have to give it time and you just have to be patient. But also, like I think Ankari said, you need that discipline. You do need discipline and focus. And I think in this time now, even myself, I feel like my energy has been more creative than it has been in a while, because I've not been distracted by many things. But at the same time, there are a lot of energies moving around in this time, so it's kind of like it's easy to get pulled away from your path and what you need to actually be focusing on.
Thank you for that, Victoria. That's awesome. And it really, added on what everyone said so far. So Ryan, do you want to add anything further?
Just going back to Melissa, because everybody's mentioned some points that I would just like to touch on and compliment as well. Just going back to Melissa, talking about, she was very strong on what manifestation is to her. And it's about bringing the mind into the reality. And that's manifestation. And, just breaking down the words, because also Ray, she touched on, she said it a few times, it's the manner in which you do something. Everybody does it in a certain manner. Yeah. So then my head's just going off like, oh, just get to the word. Because, all right, let's go to the word, like manifestation. We're talking about manner and festing. Manifest. Now, when we break down the word man, we know we're talking about the species now, but what is the species? All right, if we go back to Sanskrit, where a lot of kind of, especially the spiritual schools of thought, always kind of lead back to the Sanskrit text and the words. The word for mind in Sanskrit is manas, yeah? So when we talk about the man and the mana, we're talking about a mental faculty. And then in Sanskrit, they've got about 10 to 15 different words that all relate to a function of the mind that root in the man. They all root, the prefix is man, yeah? And they say Sanskrit is the oldest language or written language. Now we can argue that, but it's very old and very prestige, and we owe it a lot of respect at the least, yeah? And it's very spiritual. That prefix man, yeah? So even in the human, we're talking about hue being light, being complexion and light, and man, if we look at man being the mind, because Ray also touched on the teachings of ancient Kemet or Egypt, yeah? And the universal principles, the number one principle, the most probably ancient and adhered to principle of every school of thought is the universe is mental, God is mind, the all is mind. Everything you are perceiving in your reality, you are perceiving through the mind. Your reality is being run through your mind, not your hands, not your eyes. They're just interpretational faculties or sensory systems, yeah? You are ruled, governed, and you are navigating your reality through your mind. And that is the essence of man, yeah, the mind. So we know that's where, when it comes to creativity, when it comes to manifestation, and if you go to the dictionary and say, all right, well, what is fest? We also, we think festival and whatnot, and yeah, it's a certain occasion. If you go to the dictionary now online and look up fest, I think it's I've done it just as someone was talking, and Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it will just allude to a specific focus, yeah, a show of a specific focus, going back to what Melissa was talking about and so many have touched on, it's all about the focus of the mind. So when we're dealing with manifestation or manifest, it is that focus of the mind that is key to everything. So then Patrice Ahura was talking about, you know, the rate at which we bring things in and getting out of the way, you know, and I love that concept. Get a thought out there and then get out of its way. Yeah, because we will clog. All we're dealing with is energy channels. Yeah, it's the same as anything that we are struggling to overcome, whether it's health, whether it's work, whether it's relationships. There are obstacles, there are blockages in energy flow. Yeah, and depending how clear our channels are, will determine how quick something manifests. So when we keep thinking about something, we will never have the same thought twice, believe it or not. Yeah. So every time you imagine this power that is manifestation wants to give you what you are. There's a saying that a man is what he thinks about all day long. Yeah. So whatever you are being in that moment, you have the power to create it and make it so. But if you are having a billion different thoughts in your conscious and subconscious every second, you keep changing the picture of what it is you think you want. So how can it possibly come and land at your feet? Because it's like, okay, that's what you want, I'm bringing it up. Oh no, you just changed it, let me go and bring. Oh no, you've changed it again. Oh shit, you've changed it. Now you want the cherry on top. Now you want to take away that. And we will do this all day. Yeah. So what is key practically is meditation. Yeah. And why meditation is key, and the aspect that is most important in the meditation from my experience is silencing the mind. In other words, get out of the word game, get out of the realm of language. Yeah. Because that's what don't stop. And that's what keeps presenting different ideas. And every time you have a thought, your mind releases a chemical correspondence, a little drop of a chemical. And this is where Ankara was referring to the sensations that she feels that makes it so real and brings it into a reality quicker. Because basically this is alchemy. What we are doing is we are transmuting the mind thoughts into a sensation. That is also already one process, one stage in the process of manifestation. It has to be real inside you first. So it goes from an etheric form, the mind, into a chemical form. So if you're not feeling it, if you're not buzzing from it, then you can expect to wait a long time. When you can practice feeling it, getting excited about it, smelling it, seeing yourself in it, whatever it is you're visualizing, you are pulling it closer. You've just made it one stage realer. And once it goes from mental to chemical, it only has one phase left, physical. Yeah, and that is how we manifest it. Now, when I say get out of the language, Ray also touched on visualization. And I just want to touch on that in comparison to imagination. Sometimes you think that one and the same thing, but I've read and I've taught and I've learned that imagination is key, but that didn't really work for me. I'll tell you why, because imagination in my realm is kind of associated with fantasy, with not really happening, but you will just love it to have, imagine if this, imagine if that. It kind of puts it at a distance, yeah? So what I had to do when I was studying how I kind of manifest was, let me put imagination aside, regardless of how great they say it is and the key. Let me deal with visualization, because that was it was kind of fresh. It was kind of virgin to me. So that it was pure, right? It wasn't as contaminated. So if I can just visualize what it is I want, this allowed me to believe it a lot more or trust it. I also had to get out of the realm of belief because of its associations, me personally, because belief is attached, there always leaves an area of doubt in the concept of belief. It doesn't quite seal it or complete it for me. Trust is a lot stronger for me. Faith is stronger than belief for me. But trust, kind of the way I deal with trust, that's a knowing for me in my kind of dictionary definitions. So get the words out of the way and visualize, because language will keep you between the poles. You will keep chatting and you will keep creating different images with the words, whereas you can go straight to the image. And when you're in the image, now you can practice, living in that image or that visual, because we're talking about the image nation. There's a whole realm of imagery and it's all real. That's all anything is. Do you know what I mean? So I respect imagination, but I prefer to visualize. That is more deliberate and more focused. Quiet the noise. Another reason things take so long to come into our reality. Yeah, you might have strong thoughts at one point or one time about something, but remember, going on in your machine is billions of different tones and noises with thoughts, conscious and subconscious. If you do not quiet the mind so that you can focus on one thought at a time, all you're doing is saying, okay, then I want this, but I'm also manifesting a load of other nonsense and irrelevant things in my reality. What the great power has a job of doing is computing and configuring all of that, what's going on in your mind. If you want that motherfucker to be a motherfucker, it is trying to make sure that he or she is being a motherfucker at that time at the same time, but also making sure that that is in sync with everything in their reality, everything in everyone else's reality who's connected to them, and in yours. And you have a bazillion of those thoughts going on. And the way my app works, or the great divine that controls that, is that everything is perfectly synced. And the sum, the equation, the balance is constantly changing, because the only thing promised in the universe is change. Change is the only constant. So what we want to practice is being as still in the mind as possible. Have your thoughts, get out of their way, leave them alone, let them grow, they will grow. The minute you try and go back to it, if you're not sure of how you saw it before and you just want to feel it a bit more, I'd say that's perfectly sound. But if you're just trying to write the book again or paint the picture again, you've just pushed it back a little bit. Plus, you leave a lot of area or room for doubt. You'll start thinking about reasons why it might not come, or, oh God, but this or but that. Little fears and anxieties, blockages, get out of the way. You see what I'm saying? When we're dealing with the subconscious, conscience, that is key. We have to go and dive deep into the subconscious. That is what is feeding the essence of our reality and manifestation power. The top conscience is feeding the subconscious. The subconscious is power. That's why Ancora, she made a lot of reference to that kind of the feeling and the sensation. And I think it was Ray who again said, you get some people have that gut feeling. It's exactly that. As above, so below. There's more than one brain in the body. They tell us, oh, your brain's in your head. Yeah, there's a brain in there. There's also a brain right there in your chest, your heart, the most powerful brain. There's also a brain in your gut. Your gut is a brain. That is what we call the gut-brain connection. The gut brain is your more sensational brain. Your most, that's intuition and instinct. Much more powerful when it comes to working magic than the mind. Do you see what I'm saying? The mind is more, sorry, no, I can't say that. I mean the top brain. The top brain is more of a processor. But that gut, that is a worker. That's how you can sense things coming. And that is where you feel it in your guts. That's where the excitement comes from. That's where everything is being generated. That's where the elves work. That's where the fire is. Everyone's You know, you'll see the pictures of the alchemists and all of that. They're bellowing the flames and the fire and the furnace and the oven. That's the gut. In Buddhism or Zen, they call it the hara. And it just means the oven, the furnace. And that, if we need to connect those two brains, that is connecting the top conscience with the subconscious. But the subconscious houses every single memory you have ever had in your existence, in every lifetime. So there's a lot to be catching up on. So if you're wondering why things are taking so long, it's because, no, you wished and wanted and pushed away a billion different things in your lifetime, probably in the last week. What we want to do is go and clear that subconscious out or begin the practice. And you might say, well, how do we do that? That's the obvious question. Again, start with clearing the top mind, quiet the top mind, because when there's silence in the body, then we can hear the communication from the heart and the subconscious, because they are always speaking the loudest. The reason we can't hear them is because we've got too much noise going on. Yeah, and they won't come out and they won't try extra hard, because as well, this is all part of a magical, magnificent process of you learning and understanding what you actually are, that you are just a laboratory of many different faculties. And if you can harmonize it, control it, and bring balance, now you can use all of that power to create thy will. You see what I'm saying? So getting into that subconscious and reprogramming it, you don't just say, oh, I'm great and I'm this. Feel great in your meditation. Don't try and convince yourself you're great. If you're trying to convince yourself, you ain't really being great. You're trying to convince you, there's still a lot of room for doubt. What does it feel like to be great? What does it feel like to be wealthy? What does it feel like to be immune from any infection? That's what you want to practice. When you practice sensationalizing your thoughts or your will, and you start getting better at that, now this is alchemy, this is transmutation. You're changing one substance state into another substance state. You're dealing with your chemistry. Yeah, this is the cauldron, this is the witch's cauldron that was so significant that you always see. Bubble, bubble, tile and trouble. That you hear your gut bubbling off every minute. Do you see what I'm saying? The cauldron was always a symbol of the brain. Yeah, but a lot of this occult knowledge is backwards. So anytime we think the brain, we go up here. Yes, to a degree, but as above, so below. Remember, the symbol of the chalice was always the symbol of the skull and the brain faculty. It's a chamber. The cauldron is a chamber. It's dealing with the subconscious, the abdominal region, and it's also dealing with the skull, because it's one and the same. But you have to keep mixing all these chemistries, and you have to get the perfect, that's got to taste just right. Do you see what I'm saying? Before it can serve you, or before you can serve it into your reality. Yeah, and this is why you see all the dirty ones in the, you know, you go into some old churches, you're going to see them drinking out of the skull. They've still got the statues there, they're not hiding it. You see these priests and saints, and they've got skulls, they're drinking blood out of the skulls. This was because this is the sacred space, the chamber, where all of the alchemy is going on. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's just about, okay, identifying, you've got a subconscious, the top conscious can process. You can only enter the subconscious through the top conscious. It's got to be a will. Melissa mentioned it a few times. Will and action. Action is the key. You have to act, but we think action is a physical thing. It's not physical. The physical is a reaction. The initial action is the thought. That's your first action. Yeah. And this is what karma actually means. Karma means action. The word karma, when you translate it, means action. And karma doesn't just mean, oh, whatever you do is coming back to you. It does, but it don't. It first applies to your thought process, to the alchemy. Whatever you do, however you act, don't forget, we're all just playing roles down here. This is what we forget. The whole world is a stage. You know, they say the world is a stage. Everyone in your reality, we're all playing roles. We're all the soul. Do you know what I mean? We're all just playing roles to live out this experience. So we're all acting to a degree. We're all involved in our own karma. But if we go deeper and get to the initial stages of karma, then what you do, what you think will come back round to you. And now when you get your thoughts and your feelings in check, your reactions outside of yourself will mimic that greater. But you want to control it from the inside. So when it comes to the practical, the meditation, first quiet the mind. And connect the subconscious and the subconscious. Feel it, sensationalize it, visualize it. Yeah, and don't doubt that it ever comes, that it will come to you. Why do we even doubt? Because it's part of the process, because we have experience. We've all experienced being broke. Well, a lot of us have. I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of us experience being broke or being unsuccessful or not getting a job or failing in a relationship. Do you see what I'm saying? That's part of the process. Because another law of the universe is rhythm. The pendulum will swing. Yeah. Now the mastery is to know that, oh, everything swings, everything is in rhythm. Remember, I always say energy travels in waves. So the idea of there being ups and downs is very real. We can't escape that. There will always be ups and downs. You'll be on top of the wave, riding high, and you will meet a low. But the key is, how do you raise your wavelength? If you can raise your wavelength to a higher frequency, now your high notes will be higher and your lows will never be as low, because you're on a different wavelength. When you're on the higher wavelength, now you can tune into different channels. This is all channeling, it's all energy. You can tune into different channels. Now you know the science. Oh, I'm on a low, I'm low at the moment. Instead of digging yourself deeper, you just have to remember that, oh, I'm low, this is okay. Now your progress of growth will be determined by how quick you can pick yourself back up. Not wait for Jesus Christ the Savior to come and pick you up, or Mr. Right, or Mrs. Wrong, or your friend, or the job. That can't pick you up. That can only keep you in the loop, because it's only going to add to your belief systems of how you can do for yourself or not. This is the time of mastering self. And like Ray and Melissa said, the clock is ticking. Now we are in a different time. It just so happens that we are all here right now in a very powerful, magnificent time, in a transitional time, which means we are becoming more aware that we are in control of this power. It wasn't so accessible a century ago, or right up until 2,000 years ago in the Piscean age. It wasn't so accessible. Certain faculties have been turned off because of certain alignments going on. Now, different alignments are aligning differently. Different portals are opening within. Different lights and rays are coming through. The information is there. We are having these conversations. We're learning about this. You don't have to go to all of the old books because they do not all apply right now. There's a million different frequencies in our reality, in our atmospheres, in our societies that were not present 2,000 years ago or 5,000 years ago. Do you know what I mean? If we just had clean air and, you know, happy kumbaya groups of people and fresh mangoes and no GMO and no radiation, it'd be a lot easier to manifest this shit. But we don't have that privilege.
Thanks for that, Ryan. So coming to Melissa and then to Ankara Ray.
Just off the back of what Ryan was saying with regards to everything being mind and gut. So I feel that I should suggest that we all have to learn to strengthen our minds. And that's where the issues are. A lot of us have got weak minds, if you like. We're easily taken off what you should be focusing on because of all the distractions which are there by design. So I think there are methods that you can use to strengthen your mind, like meditation. And also I'd like to share with you fasting. I think that is one of the most powerful ways to strengthen and know how disciplined you are. I've just come off a 5-day water fast. I will be breaking it tomorrow morning in line with the fact that there is a full moon. And this is the longest fast I've ever done. Up until today, I've done 3 days, and wanted to push myself to a 5-day, because your mind has to be in a certain place to be able to do that, because those hunger pains come, you know, and your body starts telling you it's time for food. And if you don't know how to move your mind into a space where that doesn't matter, then you're gonna not hit your goal. So that's just one method. Other methods that I practice are the nature, my diet, my language, and there's many paths to it. But my point is, we all have to learn to develop a strong mind. When you have a strong mind, you can manifest the things that you want. When I say things that you want, I also believe that if it's not in line with your purpose, it ain't going to manifest. So you have to know what it is you're here to do. We're not all here to just run up and down on the streets and pay bills and go to work and do all these things that the Matrix tells you you're supposed to do. This is a special time, like Ryan said. We're in a transitional time. The Matrix is collapsing. We've all been put here for a specific purpose, and you need to tap into that and work out exactly what it is you're supposed to do. And once you understand that, I think again that will speed up the manifestation process.
Thank you for that, Melissa. Yes, keep talking. It's fine. I'm learning. Like, so much power, seriously. Like you, Ryan, not even just you and Ryan, everyone that shared. Like, I already get tingly, so I know it's all good. It's all good. So coming next to Ankara Ray.
I just wanted to touch on something that Ryan just recently mentioned about the body and the mind. But sometimes when we think of our mind, we base it on our head. And linking it back to manifestation, sometimes we're a lot of the time thinking, okay, what do I want to get? What do I want to get? But with my practice, I've actually realized manifestation is quite a neutral thing. And in life, sometimes we're manifesting things that we don't want in our reality. So before I've had to even think about getting things that I do want to bring in, I've had to check myself on what I'm actually currently manifesting that is not serving me. So that part of manifesting, so whether it is reoccurring cycles and reoccurring patterns, like how do I start manifesting these situations in my life? Because I feel that that has definitely been a block of me not being able to attain certain things. And it's because internally I've got some kind of script that my body is running off. So even though consciously I might be going, okay, I want A, B, and C, if I don't address what I'm manifesting unconsciously, there's been hurdles. So just to touch on ways where I've actually had to check in with self and work on those unconscious things that I've been manifesting and how to release those. So again, like talking about the heart energy and openness and blockages, because I find again, like Ryan touched on channels and how everything's basically we're just channeling into what we want to manifest. And the more clearer these channels are when it comes to life force, chi, the power to bring something into reality, I've found with myself, the more I've released blockages in my physical body, the more I've been a vessel and a better channel to be able to channel the energy that I have needed to be able to charge my brain, to charge those thoughts, to charge those affirmations, to charge whatever it is I've looked at and directed that energy. If my energy has just not been right, I've had to address that, and it's been again down to manifestation. Like what have I been manifesting? So I think it's really interesting to kind of look at multiple angles, because everything is connected. So look at multiple angles when it comes to manifestation, because like somebody mentioned, we're doing it all the time. So then the question is, looking around and looking at our experience and checking in, what is it that we are currently manifesting? Is it something that we need to clear? Is it something that we need to transmute? Is it something that we need to release in order to be able to be that clearer channel, to be able to focus that potent energy and direct that potent, clear life force to what we want to attain or what we want to change?
Before you go on, Cara, I got a question. So we've had, in terms of the clearing practices, we've had fasting, strengthening your mind. What kind of modalities have you used to unblock and clear that you felt helped you to stop manifesting perhaps things in your reality that you didn't want anymore and you wanted to let go of?
I've used body work. Like I realized that I'd done so much work on my mind, so much work on my perception of physically homing in on things that I wanted, my beliefs, but for some reason I still found myself in the same pattern. So that was just an alarm bell that, okay, something I'm doing like isn't working, therefore what else could I do? And it always resonated with me that my unconscious and my subconscious is my body. My body is my unconscious mind. It is. And the more I've done exercises like yoga is a perfect way to release all this unprocessed energy and clear those pathways to release this energy that doesn't serve you. And also physical body work. So like your deep tissue massages, your energetic body work has helped me to literally open blockages and remove blockages that I didn't even know I had. Like, I'm quite bouncy, so I thought I was good until I went in those sessions, had huge releases, and then in my actual life, my life just started to just turn, and I'm just like, oh my days. So things that were going on around, I'd been manifesting cycles, patterns, because I'd released energetically these blockages. I'd realized, oh my days. So the reason that I'd been manifesting these same cycles is because of these blockages that I held deep within the core of my being. So that physical release with body work, the trauma-informed yoga, so certain yoga postures that help release certain muscles that are carrying these memories and this consciousness that may be almost opposing the thing that you're actually trying to work towards consciously. So the more I've released that, I've become such a potent, infinite, clearer vessel to be able to actually direct my energy, direct my attention, direct my focus to things that I literally want to change and manifest within my reality.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Ankara.
Thank you.
So coming next to Nissy, wanted to add some thoughts in here as well.
Hi. So first of all, I just want to say, like, it's amazing to come across people that are like-minded like this. It's actually so inspiring for me right now. I feel like Ankara sort of, in the second part, she actually said the things that I wanted to say. But I just wanted to also add that the people that we keep in our company and the things that we do also play a part in how we interpret the world and how we carry ourselves. So I think it's important that once you are aware of certain things, to cut them out of your life, because you might be unknowingly tapping into certain energies that are actually driving you away from your purpose and where you're supposed to go in life, and to your higher self. And honesty is a big thing, that if you know that you're not good at something, you have to work on it at a humble level, that you're not going to tell yourself lies that you're good at it just yet. You have to be able to put yourself on a level where you are open to learning, you're open to the process and the journey of getting to where you need to get to. And that also includes, as I say, the things that we do, the music we listen to, the things that we watch. They can reawaken certain traumas from the past that you don't need. And it could be, like, as I say, like bad energies as well. It's not productive, basically. So I think it's really important to assess ourselves and our thoughts and the things that we do, and walk in love and light, and just be conscious of how we carry ourselves.
Thank you for that, Nisi. Definitely. Okay. So has anyone got any other thoughts or questions to ask before we go into probably holding a meditation?
I was going to add something, actually. I'm a little bit late, but I thought, love and light to everyone. I thought it's so cool to hear what everyone's saying. I was just a little late to join, but I was watching a film recent, not a film, I watch a lot of documentaries on nature. And I was watching a lion, right? And this lion, we're looking at this lion and you can say, this lion is majestic. You know, look at his paws, look at his claws, look at those teeth. Look how beautiful that mane is. You know, oh wow, that's a beautiful animal. But that animal is a killer. And if that animal doesn't hunt, doesn't kill, that animal doesn't survive. Now that animal could be a solo animal, or it could be part of a group, a pack, whatever. But that animal has to be aware of its skill, its talent, what it's good at or not good at. That is the truth. And if it doesn't face up to that truth, that animal does not survive. I think that plays a lot in who we are. If you're trying to define who you are, you've got to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, to be able to understand what opportunities are in your way, or to avoid the threats. So a lot of people, you got to think like a lion. I'm not saying that literally, but look, like there's so many connotations to the whole lion with the spiritual realm, but within itself, just observe that animal. We might say it's beautiful. That animal might be, you might hear a cry. A bird, you think that's beautiful, but that could be a call of cry, or call of freedom, or call of pain. But it's about understanding yourself. Now, what level are you on? What can you take? What can you enjoy? Someone's mentioned truth and those techniques that are used to really understand yourself. And I find nature is a way to silence the noise in the mind. I just thought I'd share that, because sometimes while we're on our own, it's hard to really go in on yourself, but to silence the mind immediately brings you to that place. And so, yeah, I just thought I'd share that. Thank you.
Thanks, Martin, for sharing that. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to Ryan.
So I think we've talked a lot about what manifestation is, and why it might take long and whatnot, and we've used the word key a lot of the times, because there's a lot of keys, there's a lot of key components, and like Melissa said, there's so many different pathways to the destination that we're all trying to get to, which is just our inner source. At the source, we find everything. So we have to really remember that frequency is the main governing force here in our realm. It's frequency, light frequency and sound frequency. That's why I refer a lot to the noise and the sounds that is going on, because we might think we're in silence, but if the mind is chatting, silence can be piercingly loud if you can't shut the mind up. It's just operating at a different frequency. Ankara mentioned about charging up the brain, and I loved how she dropped that in there, because basically the more charge you have will determine the more power you have. That's a fact in any aspect of your reality. The more charge, the more power something has, the more productive it can be. Your body is a machine in some senses, a divine vessel type. It's a machine of all sorts. It is cosmic tech. Yeah. It still requires power, surge, charge, current. It requires all the faculties that we need for anything that is run by electrical components. The heart is electrical, the brain is electrical. When we talk about your spirit, when we talk about your aura, when we're talking about your drive, your power, your capability, we're talking about electromagnetism. When we're talking about light, we're talking about electromagnetism. They go hand in hand. Yeah. So the two dual forces, electricity and magnetism, positive, negative, masculine, feminine, these are the two main force channels that are determining the light that you are emitting. They are your transmission faculty, but they are also your receptive faculties. Now, how do we charge up the electromagnetism? Well, Melissa touched on it again still. She said one of her practices is the food. And this is why I've spent the last decade banging on about food with a lot of people here and the diet and making, expansive nutrition is all about, okay, let's start with the food because it writes the story, so many chapters of our life. Definitely. Remember, electromagnetism exists in everything and a much higher vibration in everything that is natural. We are what we eat. We are what we consume. So just something like getting control of your diet, yeah, can completely change the patterns in your reality, because that is one of the major patterns in your reality. So when you go to a more high vibratory diet, for instance, if you go and eat an apple is high electromagnetism. It is live food, life force. Yeah, your body is consuming it, transmuting it. It's alchemy. You are what you eat. So if you're eating life force, you are generating. You have become that life force. You just channel it in your own human way. If you go and eat a donut that has no electromagnetism, but that needs to drain electromagnetism in order for you to even get it out your body, then that's a puller, that's a sucker, that's a parasite. So that's going to take electromagnetism away. It's going to stimulate your brain, the ego, that kind of addictive faculty. But even that's going to exhaust the dopamine receptors in your brain so that it's harder for you to become self-stimulated, which is another key to all of it. So you changing the pattern of the way you eat and when you eat automatically changes things and changes the frequency. Now, the more electric you have in your body, the more power and charge you have. So when you talk about motivation, drive, getting things done, you need electricity. You see how in the reality now, everything, they're trying to turn to electric cars because it's that time. The electro spectrum is turning up in everything. Everyone's making that transition to being more electrical. Do you see what I'm saying? You will see in all the tech. We're going into 5D. They call it 5G. They call it 5G. Cool. Call it what you want. The technology is trying to catch up with us, but if we don't know who and what we are and what technology we are made of, then we think we're behind and we're trying to catch up with a delusional kind of God. Do you know what I mean? That the Matrix is creating. So the more power you have, the more electricity you can put in your body, the more driving force you have, the more power and the more action you can take in your reality. In science, wherever you have electricity, there is automatically a magnetic field that generates around it and circulates it. You don't get positive without negative. Yeah, this is the principle of gender. You're always going to have polarity. So anywhere there's electricity, there's a magnetic field. So that is what electromagnetism is. When you start getting your dial, you feel better, your vibratory field's higher. But what's the role of magnetism? We just said it. magnetism. So when your frequency is increasing, not only have you got the willpower and the motivation to do more action, you've also got the magnetism potential to pull into your reality what it is you require. Yeah, you've also got the power to repel, because there's always two poles. Yeah, so magnets have two poles, positive and negative, attraction and repelling. So you will also repel what it is does not fit into your ideal or whatever you require. Yeah, basically magnetism plays a high role in all of this. Now, Nissi also touched on, sometimes the people around you are going to affect you. Remember, we are what we consume. Everything and everybody is energy. Yeah, the TV you are watching is emitting energy. Yeah, it's plugging your thoughts, your ideas, your subconscious mainly. The music you're listening to is a frequency. Yeah, it's plugging your thoughts, your ideas, your subconscious. The people you are around, they're all auras, they're all electromagnetism. So they will either drain you, they will either prop you up. The food you're eating, yeah, the thoughts you have, everything, like the whole earth is in a constant process of consumption. Everything's consuming itself and making love, communing with itself. Everything here is doing that. Like Marvin said, the lion, look at the animal kingdom. Do you see what I'm saying? It's all consuming itself. Now, we say nature's beautiful. Yeah, it is, but wait till you see nature ripping on the neck of a beautiful Bambi deer while it's alive. That's nature. It's raw. It isn't good or bad. It just is. Positive and negative. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's where we really need to get to within ourselves. That's the level of maturity. It isn't about saying, oh, well, I'm not hanging around with those friends anymore. It's just about knowing who you are, where you're at, and what it's going to take for you to get to the next level of your higher self. If you see what I'm saying? Now, what that means sometimes is that we got to let go or move forward from some of the baggage. You can love a lot greater from a distance. But as long as you know that if you can up your game and level up, then what you can possibly do for anybody you love is always going to be much greater. And that's your responsibility. And also, just because we've had this conversation, and just because you've read the books and you know, if you don't start acting, you will feel the burden of the consequence a lot harder. That's when they say ignorance is bliss. The more you know, the less you get away with. That's why you got to be careful when you go seeking for knowledge, because now you enter true knowledge and truth. You're entering more godly spiritual realms. Do you see what I'm saying? And you've sought for it, and you've told yourself you want this. So it's like, the big saying, you can't handle the truth. If you can't handle the truth, leave it alone for a bit. Be happy and content with where you are and where you're at. And just practice at that level. Yeah. But also, just to touch on what Ankara was saying about check your thoughts on what you think you want. Because remember how karma does, like, you're not just gonna, like, everything is on your tab. So if you really want that diamond ring or that car, like, you're gonna get everything that comes with that. The whole process that has been through, that's also been on a timeline journey. And so has everybody that's contributed to it. Now, I ain't saying you got to be thinking about everything, but just think about what it is you actually want as opposed to what it is you actually require. And a couple of people have touched on it already, in the sense that it's best that you begin to know yourself before you start imagining what you want for yourself. Because what you want may not necessarily be in line with your purpose in life. It may just come from all the influences. Yeah, and your perceptions need to be checked also, because your perceptions will initiate your responses and your reactions to things, which will initiate then how the things respond and react to you. And that's also going to tamper with your frequencies. So being a master of self and being a spiritual being and being on a higher level in the vibratory field, it comes with a lot of responsibility. The rewards are massive and worthy. But when you make those choices to walk those paths, you will get checked at certain gates, and rightly so, because there's customs as you enter every space. And the vibratory field is a place of space of different planes, different realms, if you may. Because once you get your vibratory field up, you're going to enter different realms. That just meaning your reality is going to change. The way you see things, the way you connect dots, the way your synchronicities are happening, or the magic and all the crazy, spooky, spiritual stuff, you're going to enter those realms because you are in a different vibratory space. That's where we've got to be mature. But the TV didn't tell me about this. Yeah, it did. It just told you that it was fantasy. Yeah. Everything's told you about it, but the schools didn't tell you about it. The so-called schooling didn't tell you about it, but it did. But it just made sure you were switched off enough not to recognize. But now we're starting to recognize. Yeah, and we can piece the dots together. So it's just important that we identify how we can raise our frequency just in your own house and space. Just think of artificial intelligence. And I'm not just talking about the technology. If you've got all different kinds of materials and plastics around your space and stuff, that's really artificial intelligence. It's still got a vibratory field, but it's not resonating at an elemental level. So you might just want to change some of the furniture, get more wood, get some water flowing in your space. Yeah, get some stones, some earth, some crystals. Symbols are very powerful. Everything emanates resonation and vibration. So you can tweak and tune your vibrations of the spaces that you are in. And it's your responsibility to do that, actually. Do you see what I'm saying? If you want to be on the path. Or we can sit down and fantasize and talk about it a lot more. So there's you controlling your environment, controlling the energies and the things that you're consuming constantly. And don't just think of food when you're consuming. You're consuming everything that you're taking in. Your eyes, your ears, your mouth, your thoughts, your aura. You are taking it all in. It becomes you. Yeah. So we want to practice mastering this. We're not going to be masters. Otherwise, we wouldn't probably be here. We'd be operating from a different realm, which some of you probably are. But we have to admit we've got a lot of work to do and we can jump on the path to be masters. Sometimes we're scared of the idea that we're so powerful, but really we know we are. But we're just so used to the contrary. Muslim, Christian, Jew, Buddhism, spiritual. One thing they've all got in common is their faith. The Jews, the Muslims, everybody's so sure that their God is serving them. You know, their life is on point and, oh, I owe it all to God, I owe it all to Allah, I owe it all to Jesus, I owe it all to Abraham, I owe it all to the tree or the idol. That's all good and all cool. What divides them is religion. But what they've all got in common is faith. Yeah. So what that automatically shows you is that it doesn't, whatever this great power is not discriminating. It does not care what you call it or what you believe in or what book you pick up. It only cares that your faith, and that comes down to the sensation, the more you believe, the more faith you have. It only cares, the more, that's what it responds to. The only other point I didn't want to go amiss, mainly, was the moon and the moon's effect on the manifestation potential. Because, and I'm sure there's a lot of people in the space that can talk on it, but all I'll say is when it's full moon, everything turn up, amplification. Do you see what I'm saying? Remember, we're bodies of sound. So when we're talking about the amps, the amplifying, yeah, and your frequency is turning up because that's what the moon is controlling the waters. Your body's 99% water, if you ask me. Yeah, so it's controlling the currents and the waves. Do you see what I'm saying? So on a full moon, whatever is the sum of your thoughts and feelings, that is what will be amplified and that will be carried into your next cycle, i.e. moon cycle. So this is why I say sometimes in some of the groups or some of the spaces, yo, leave all of that, that kind of induced, influential, pro this or pro that, leave that alone. I mean, when you're trying to master self, you better know the game. Because this is all about, if somebody knows these sciences about us, then they know exactly how to tweak us. Do you see what I'm saying? So when we think we're doing good on a full moon and we're all out rallying, or protesting, what are we telling ourselves? That we're not in a good, happy state? It might be for the right reasons and it might serve really well, but just know what you're doing in that sense. And this is why I predict that, in such a powerful time as now, of course, like, you have to expect something like Corona to come along in this majorly powerful time, because they're trying to counterbalance the frequency. Rest assured, there's so many of us here that have been having a marvelous, wonderful experience. Do you see what I'm saying? Through the Corona season. But as we're coming out of it, because it can't hold back the waves, it's like a dam trying to hold back all this penetration from the solar system. Can't. It has to release it, because we're releasing it. Oh, they already had something lined up. Well, I don't know, the Floyd thing. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm getting it right, but the guy that died, the black geezer. Let's stir the waves. Do you see what I'm saying? No disrespect to him or his family, even though I saw more evidence to show that that was a complete settle, and I felt it anyway from the start, just because I know the patterns, and we was kind of already predicting something like this. Now they want us all rallying and trooping and being angry and fighting for something. What? In this time, this is about stillness, calmness, and you balancing your alchemical frequencies and emotions into harmony. Do you see what I'm saying? Because harmony grows, harmony is created, that's growth. Balance is harmony, harmony is growth and expansion. That is godly. Do you see what I'm saying? So just be mindful of that, especially when it's around the full moon, and you'll always see the tricks come out and the patterns and the amplifications. But I just wanted to say, there's a lot more I wanted to say, but I think we've all said enough and we've got enough to digest. I will just say that, like I say, this is being recorded, so anybody can get it in due course, and we will try and start to keep it archived. We would like to do more of these kind of conversations. There's people here from all over the world right now. America, South America, Britain, all different cities, so many different perspectives, but we're all the same, we're all one. So it'd be nice to have these kind of conversations between ourselves and keep ourselves in check. Instead of going outside and looking for these sources, we can use things, bring them in, but let's just have some internal conversations. It kind of is aligned with something me and Remy have been working on, that we want to kind of do a bit more often in this sense. And it's about opening up within our inner eyes, our inner voice, our inner vision, and expressing it and projecting it. So you can get this, because there's been a lot of gems shared, so you can get the recording.
Okay, guys, so does anyone want to say any last final comments? I'm aware that it obviously is full moon and I'm ready to meditate and like jump in soon, so I don't want to take too much more time of the evening. But was there anyone that had like a burning question or anything that Ryan said, or anyone else that anyone wanted to respond to before we go?
Could anyone enlighten in like maybe not this time, maybe another time, something to do with not rituals per se, but yeah, rituals. Maybe someone has an altar. I'm sure most have an altar, and how to prepare one, how to maintain one. Those type of questions. That is something that I was just quite curious about, in the sense that Ryan mentioned a few things, but it hit me as he said that, and I thought I'll just put it out there because I know a few people in the group would probably be able to enlighten me on that one.
So thank you for that. So yeah, we'll do another one. And I'm thinking, I know most people here are from one of probably 2 WhatsApp groups as well. So in the meantime, if anyone wants to share anything in those forums, that would be helpful for him.
Okay.
And that would be great, because it is a big topic, and I think he could do a whole separate one on that also.
Also, if anyone here is not in the groups that we've referred to, it's not no major group, but just make a note, put it in the chat, and if you like, so you're more aware next time there's a gathering like this, then we can just add you into the group. It's only love, and it's full spectrum. There's no kind of we try and keep any divisive, knowing or unknowingly, any kind of divisive narratives out of there. Just try and raise the vibration for all.
Perfect. Question, Ryan, do you still want to do a meditation to close?
Yeah.
Okay.